Well, welcome and good evening, everyone, again. Thanks so much for being here tonight, taking some time to improve your health and ultimately the health of your families and future generations, too. This is a pretty hot topic. You know, there are people that are looking to always improve their quality of life, their health, fitness, many goals of weight loss, improving their nutritional intake, and there's a lot of misinformation out there. People get misquoted or have trouble, kind of reading through the literature which is out there. So I've put hundreds of hours into this so that you can be better informed and make a more educated decision for yourself. If you have questions as we go along, and it's a burning question that you want to answer right away, I think it would also benefit others who are here. Feel free to ask, or at the end if you have questions that you want to ask, I'll be hanging around for a little bit afterwards too. But what I need first is just your permission. And that is to just give you the truth, tell you the way it is, the way your body functions, the way it's designed to function, and how to improve your nutrition if you have weight loss goals, to improve your fitness based on the scientific peer-reviewed literature of how your body's designed to be and how it's designed to be healthy. So I have your permission? Mm-hmm. All right. So we're going to get right in here. Our goals tonight, we're going to understand the why. What I mean by that is there's a lot of programs, there's a lot of gadgets, gizmos, all sorts of people out there who go, just do this, just do that, just do that. And you might try it and then afterwards go, but why? Why was I supposed to do that? If you understand the why, it makes it easier to implement those changes. So we're going to get to the why of things. Clear up that misinformation. There's a lot of it out there. We're going to make it simple, easy to understand. Understand the stress response that your body has and its role in weight gain or dis-ease, the lack of healthy function. And then learn the lifelong wellness lifestyle habits. That's the key right there. The habits that are going to match your genetic physiology, how it's designed to function optimally. So first thing, it's a new year. The most common New Year's resolution is to lose weight. Yeah, you hear it all the time, and there's a lot of promotion around that. Well, 80% of the resolutions that people make, statistics show, were the same as last year, because these same people didn't do what they intended to do. So I say you don't really need a new plan. What you need is a commitment. Ask yourself right now, what do I want to get out of the information tonight, and what am I willing to commit to doing? I don't expect you to go home tonight and take all this information and go, I'm going to put it into play, because by Thursday or Friday, you're going to go, what did I just decide to do? You're going to be overwhelmed. So it's what will you commit to do? Beliefs and behaviors. There's a strategy called, we'll do behavior modification. So let's say, for instance, you go, I'm a kind of a couch potato. I lay around, I like donuts, I like coffee, whatever. I know that they're junk food, whatever. And someone says, well, we have a perfect solution. There's behavior modification. So tomorrow morning, what I want you to do, well, before you go to bed tonight, set your alarm for 5 a.m., and as soon as that alarm goes off, I want you to get up, put on your workout clothes, and then go to the gym and work out for an hour. Okay. I normally don't do that, so I'll change my behavior. I'll do that. So the alarm goes off in the morning, and what happens?
You hit the snooze.
You hit the snooze button. Because someone's just trying to get you to change your behavior. Your beliefs are still, I love laying on the couch and eating the donuts. I don't like to exercise. So what you have to do is change your beliefs. What you have to do is make a new connection to the lifestyle that you have and how it's influencing your cells, your DNA. So in other words, saying, well, if I eat an apple as opposed to a donut, the health benefits that I'm going to get. I'm going to get vitamins, I'm going to get water, I'm going to get minerals, etc. And by not eating the donut, the unhealthy fats and sugars, I'm going to be able to push those away. Or by getting up, moving, exercising, how great that movement is for my brain, for my body, my joints, just overall health, as opposed to lying on the couch and not moving and knowing that my body's missing out on that movement and it's leading to potential health problems. So it's make the connection to what you're doing in your life, in your lifestyle, and is it adding to health, adding to quality of life, or taking away from it. And the information tonight will help you to change your beliefs, and as you change those things, it's easier then to change your behaviors. Because something that I liked to do for years was eat ice cream. Every night, I'd have a big bowl of ice cream. And then finally, somebody was like, do you actually know what's in that? And I go, no, I didn't know. I just figured it was yummy goodness. Yeah? And then once I found out, I was like, wow, this could be doing this and that to my body. So, it's much easier to change that behavior. And the new dawn in healthcare, it's how we eat, how we move, how we think, that's determining our quality and quantity of lives. There's no research out there which says, well, we're getting much healthier because we're having more surgeries, or we're taking more drugs. There's a time and a place for that, don't get me wrong, but if you look at the number of people that are developing chronic disease related to lifestyle, it's going up and up, percentages out of, beyond belief, each and every decade. But we've had just as many advances in medical science, more drugs, more surgery. So it's not from a lack of those things. It's the lifestyle that we're getting disconnected from and how it's going to help our body. Just some alarming facts. 80% of the U.S. population is currently overweight, meaning that there's a body mass index of 25 to 29.9. It's actually body mass index. It's basically like a measurement of the amount of fatness to your body, but it's considered a very poor indicator of your overall health. But it's just, for classification purposes. With the current trend that we're going, with the number of people, especially children, that are putting on more weight each and every year, with that trend, it says 100% will be overweight by 2050. And about, in 100% of the population would be obese by the year 2100, with the current trends, the current percentage of increase each and every year and decade. Complications related to being overweight, 280,000 people die per year. We spend $30 billion a year on weight loss. That's a lot of money. Imagine we spent $30 billion on more vegetable consumption. It's definitely a difference in health. Obesity was 14.5% in 1971, up to 28% in 2010. And back in 2000, it cost $117 billion. Basically, like treating complications and health effects from, or lack of health, from that. Now we got to look at our children. Our children are our future. Like I said, about helping future generations. If you can instill, different beliefs in yourself and in your family, behaviors change, it's going to carry on to the next generation after that. If we look at 1 in 4 children are currently obese right now. 50% of obese adolescents will remain obese as adults. Why? It's because of the lifestyles that they have when they're younger. That's what's going to be what they're accustomed to. By age 3, children now have fatty deposits in their arteries. Things that a few decades ago was unheard of. And by age 12, 70% of children have beginning stages of hardening of the arteries. One of the classic signs for heart disease. To the point where cholesterol medications are being recommended for children as low as 3 years old. Now, we got a whole other entire workshop on heart and cholesterol, things like that. And if you want more information, I certainly have that. But there's a benefit to having cholesterol. And your body will make more cholesterol based on really the lifestyle that we have. Yes, there are some people that, genetically, they're predisposed to make more cholesterol, but still you have to do something in your lifestyle to trigger your body to produce more. But, to put a child 3 years old on a cholesterol medication and let them continue, to eat whatever the heck they want, I'm not in favor of that at all. We've got to the point in our society where, hey, it's not okay to smoke in restaurants or even in public. People will, look at you funny. But kids being overweight or obese due to unhealthy lifestyle, it's kind of still acceptable. I say, let's start, getting to the parents and making healthier changes there. Real quick thing on genetics. Again, your body has to be, exposed to something to trigger your genes to express themselves in a certain way. But related to our overall health, what's going on now is if we don't provide that genetic intelligence that's within all of our cells with the right ingredients, or we have exposure to too many toxins, That's what caused your body to change and express an adaptation, which eventually gets labeled as a lack of function, a dis-ease, or a disease, and then eventual symptoms. So how does our body adapt? In a very intelligent way. You know, our genes have hardly changed, just 0.02% over the past 10,000 years, but our culture transformed beyond our genetic capability to keep up with how much that's changed. So what we have now are called diseases of civilization that cause 75% of deaths in Western nations. Our genes are almost identical, 0.02%, but lifestyle has changed. So the diseases we're seeing now were rare 5, 10, 15, 20,000 years ago when the healthiest people roamed the planet. And here's the kicker to the whole thing. We have the same nutritional and movement requirements as we did back then. What happens is we're domesticating ourselves. You take an animal out of the wild, you make it a house pet or put it in a cage, put it in a zoo, what happens? They start developing all these sorts of diseases that animals in the wild don't. We're animals. Humans are animals. We domesticate ourselves. What do we see? Diseases of civilization. Just some other information here. Risk of death rises with increasing weight. Even moderate weight excess, 10 to 20 pounds, increases risk of death. Obese individuals have 50 to 100% increased risk of death from all causes compared to healthy weight. And what are those? Well, high blood pressure, osteoarthritis, bad cholesterol, triglyceride scores, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, stroke, gallbladder disease, sleep apnea, some cancers and respiratory problems related to our lifestyle. So what's the solution? Well, what's called now, there's a big overarching umbrella, it's called metabolic disease. Basically, we've altered the metabolism of the body because of our lifestyle habits. So lumped into that are signs of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, cancer, obesity, high blood pressure, or to be pre-diabetic, or having early signs of heart disease. The solution, exercise and diet. Those are the two big things. If you can improve those, your body will respond in a healthy way 100% of the time. There's people who have heart disease, you put them on a treadmill, have them eat more fruits and vegetables, they have less signs of heart disease. And then one of the big things related to metabolic disease and a lot of chronic illnesses is more of a insulin resistance. So it's important to know what insulin actually is and what it does. So the function, what's the main function of insulin? Does anyone know?
To regulate your blood sugars.
That is one. It's not the biggest one. What it is actually is it's a growth and repair hormone. It's actually there. Its main function is for cell growth. But what does it mostly do? What Heather said. It's because we're doing more things to stress us. So it's like, okay, next big function is we have excess nutrients, we're going to store them. In between carbohydrates, which are sugars, fats and proteins, what do we get most of in our diet out of those three? Sugar. Sugar, 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 sugar. So a big thing that insulin is doing is saying, there's way too much sugar in the bloodstream, it's going to cause damage, we got to get it the heck out of there. So it'll then store it. It stores excess blood sugar, just a little bit, as what's called glycogen, in your liver and in your muscles. Most of what your body will do is store it as fat. So it stores the sugars, the carbohydrates, as fat. Well, if we're looking to lose weight, common sense and logic right now would say, minimize your sugar consumption. So there's less need for that insulin. Another hormone that the body has is called glucagon, meaning that when there's not enough blood sugar, so if you're keeping normal levels or you're not consuming more sugars than what your body should have, then your body in an intelligent way says, well, there's times where we're going to need sugar for energy. So where have we stored it? Well, we stored it in our fat cells. So it'll take the fat from the body, break it down into simple sugars for your body to use. So you're breaking down fat. It's healthier weight loss. If your blood sugar is even slightly high, due to what you're doing with your lifestyle, then your body won't release the glucagon. It won't break down the fat. It won't, then, your weight loss that way is not going to happen. And then over the course of time, your body says, hey, we have too much of this insulin. sugar was toxic enough. Insulin, it's pretty toxic too, because we don't want more of it circulating, we don't want more of this hormone circulating than we need. So your body will eventually say, oh, too toxic to our cells, we're going to stop listening to you. So it's kind of like, we're not going to let you into our house. We're right here at the door, stay out there. So now you got too much insulin floating around because you had too much sugar, too many other things that you were consuming. So now it starts to affect other things. Your body's affected in other ways. So the cells say, hold on, we're insulin resistant. We don't want to do this anymore. We're tired of listening to you. And then there's toxic effects of high insulin due to the toxic sugar levels. So your pancreas says, well, we got to start screaming at you. We really need the insulin to do its job. You keep consuming these sugars, you keep your body stressed, there's more sugars being released. We need to create more insulin because we really got to get the sugars out of the bloodstream. So your pancreas starts to make more, and over time it just kind of gets fatigued. It gets tired. Your pancreas gets run down. It starts to kind of shut down. And then with the considerably high amounts of insulin, now your body goes into a sympathetic nervous system response, which is the fight or flight response, where now your body's on more of this heightened alert. Not a good thing.
Thanks. I wasn't sure if there was something I was missing.
Just the arrow. So your body makes then cortisol, which is a stress hormone. And then with prolonged cortisol, your sleep's affected, your immune system shut down, digestion shut down. Not good things. And then there's a progression. Not all the cells in your body become insulin resistant at the same time, because your body's smart. It says if we just all become insulin resistant at the same time, this isn't going to work for us. So what happens is the liver starts to become resistant to those effects. So its ability to break down glycogen to raise blood glucose, boom, you start waking up with elevated blood sugar because of that. Elevated blood sugar, you're not going to burn fat. In the muscles, they say, hey, we're not going to be burning sugar coming from the liver anymore. So your blood sugar goes up, more insulin produced, and then we get back into that cycle again. And eventually your fat cells, they have a delayed resistance, where they say, hey, all you guys, you've been trying to handle this, and we're now going to get to the point where we're going to say, hey, no more. We can't take this anymore. So then your body says, all these extra sugars out here, we're going to keep storing it because you can't handle it. We're going to keep storing it, storing it, storing it, storing it. And your body preferentially stores it here to here. So the thighs, the midsection. So the more stressed you are, the more sugar you consume, your body's going to store it preferentially in this midsection area. And how does this also relate then to blood pressure? Well, insulin, remember, it's storing things. So it's responsible for storing magnesium, which relaxes muscles. But if you become insulin resistant, then the muscles that are in the blood vessel walls, they're not going to get that magnesium which they need for relaxation. So your blood vessels start to tighten and constrict, and your blood pressure goes up. And then also, with sodium, salt. Too much of that, fluid retention, high blood pressure, sign of heart disease. So anything that's in excess, insulin is going to bring it into the cells for storage. It gets to the point where your body's cells are saying, hey, no more, we're insulin resistant. It's not a good thing, and your body's ability to function the way it's designed to is altered. So then getting into the secrets of how do we make the necessary changes? Well, the first thing is you have to realize that these diets, especially the fad diets which are out there, they don't work in terms of healthy weight loss and healthy physiology. On a scale, if your goal is to say, well, I stand here on the scale one day and I weigh X number of pounds, and 2 months from now I want to be X minus 10, well, you could do the fad diets and be 10 pounds less. But was it done in a healthy way? Did you stress your body, or did you lose it in a healthy way? I kind of underline this here because on most of those diets, what do most people say? They feel like they want to die. And the reason why, big thing, is that they're just not congruent. So most of them, what do they propose? Well, restrict certain calories, eat less calories. What happens is now your metabolism starts slowing down. Your body starts getting used to it. If you had 2,000 calories, only has 1,000, well, we're going to start slowing down, and because we know we're only going to get 1,000. So we're going to have to learn to function that way. Then your body goes into survival mode in terms of, we don't know when we're going to get certain things again. The big question is, can you lose weight with that process going on? What do you think? The answer is yes, you can, because that's what the fad diets do. Yeah, there are less calories, there are less nutrients and things. You can be less on the scale, but what are you less of?
Nutrients.
Yeah, you're less of what your body actually needs. So it doesn't match your physiology. You restrict nutrients, and then your body starts breaking things down to get the nutrients it needs. One of the first things it'll do is take muscles, which do sugar and fat burning in the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, and start breaking muscles down. So most of the people, when they go, hey, I was X, now I'm X minus 10, well, you're 10 pounds of less muscle. You still have all the same fat that's there. You might have a little less water too, but your body just started breaking muscles and other tissues down to get nutrients that you just restricted yourself from over the past certain amount of time.
When people fall off the diet, they like almost gorge themselves because they haven't done anything in balance, and so
Right.
they're like,
The body's in that survival mode of, Catherine, we don't know when we're going to get this again. Here it comes. Ooh, get it and get more of it. Here it is. This is what we've been looking for. We kind of talked about this before. When the mitochondria are destroyed, then you can't burn fat efficiently, and that's what gets destroyed as the muscles are breaking down, when then you're off the diet. So if you've done one of those types of diets, or you feel your energy levels really low, some things that are good for your mitochondria are supplements called acetyl L-carnitine, alpha-lipoic acid, and coenzyme Q10. And then your body gets stressed. When you're stressed, you know what types of foods your body actually craves? Sugar and fats. Which is why the donut looks better than the apple when you're stressed. Because your body's very intelligent. It goes, there's fat sugar in there. We're going to go and get that. Because your body uses fats and sugars to make stress hormones. And what's really important is the source of the calories more than the number. Because if you had 2,000 calories of fruits and vegetables and lean protein every day, as opposed to someone who went, I had 1,000 calories and I had a bunch of chicken wings. And that was your same diet day after day after day. Well, congratulations, you had less calories, but what was in those calories? Things that supported your body's health and physiology, or led to stress of your cells and probably their eventual death. So the source of calories is more important than the total number. So a healthy option is fasting. So we're going to talk about what that is. By fasting, you reduce stress to your cells. You actually increase your insulin sensitivity, so that improves. Mitochondrial efficiency, ability to reduce stress, disease and aging is increased as well. So it's a good thing. Well, when does a fast start? About 10 to 12 hours after a meal. So after that time, your body says, okay, we're going to use up the sugar, the glucose in your blood. We're going to convert that glycogen that we talked about before, which is stored in your liver and your muscles. We're going to break that down and use for energy. And as the fasting continues, now your body starts getting into the point of breaking down the fats. So it's not starving yourself, but there's a certain thing to do as a fast. So what you do on fasting days is cut your food down to about a quarter of your normal caloric intake. But remember, source of calories. So it's not cut it down. Like I usually have 20 chicken wings. Now I only have 5 chicken wings. But it's, I have good calories, but I'm going to cut it down to a quarter. So it said, to men about 600, women about 500 calories. And you do one meal a day, preferably at night. And some things that you can have about every 6 hours are quality whey protein, green vegetables, and berries. So you're still going to get other healthy nutrients, but you're not having big, huge meals during the day. And then on top of that, it said to eat during really an 8-hour window. So if you ate between like 10 a.m. and 6 p.m., and if you can even do it less, it's called really a kind of a lifestyle 8-hour diet or less. You're not going to cut calories, but you can eat those same quality foods in a shorter amount of time, as opposed to spreading it out from 6 in the morning all the way till 9 o'clock at night, where your body's in this constant mode of I eat, and has less time in between meals, overnight especially, to get into that fasting mode. So it's recommended. A couple books where this information comes from is called The Fast Diet by Mosley, and The 8-Hour Diet by Zinchenko and Moore. So that was the fast diet by Mosley, and the 8-hour diet by Zinchenko, Zincenko. And what's recommended is eat normally for 5 days, fast for 2. And if you can stay between like 10 and 6 on those days, good source of calories, and then fast for 2 days. You know, if it's on the weekend or something like that, or even if you split up the fasting days. And you want to minimize the carbohydrates and the sugars and replace them with healthy fats. Now, years ago, that 3-letter word fat made everyone run for the hills. It got kind of a bad name. Your body needs fats. If you don't get them, your brain suffers, other tissues suffer. So what you want are healthy fats. So we're talking about coconut oil, olive oil, eating olives, butter, preferably if it's from a organic grass-fed cow, eggs, avocados, nuts, omega-3 fatty acids. And what happens is a shift starts to occur where your body says, hey, we're not actually going to be craving these unhealthy foods anymore because we're getting these good quality foods during this time. And just like we learned how to crave the unhealthy, your body can start craving the healthy foods. And the cravings for those foods starts to disappear. You're able to burn that stored fat, healthier weight loss, as opposed to restricting nutrients, muscles breaking down. Not a good thing. It helps your insulin levels, ghrelin, which is an appetite hormone. Like when the ghrelin is released, it's basically an initiator of, hey, let's start eating. Human growth hormone has helped, which we're going to talk about, triglycerides, and it helps with inflammation in the body too. Real quick on a danger, this was a big one before, high protein, low carbohydrate diet. Your fat cells start to become fat magnets, similar to the question that you asked. As you start to reintroduce those foods, back to normal food consumption, your body just starts going, hey, we're going to take this all in and store it because we didn't get it before. Your body does need carbohydrates. Source of the carbohydrates is important, which we're going to talk about. That actually lessens blood flow to the heart, increasing your risk of heart disease. And on a diet like that, studies show there's increased cancer risk, high blood pressure risk, can cause gout, kidney stones, loss of calcium from the bones and tissues, leading to osteoporosis, carpal tunnel, kidney damage, liver disease. Not good things. So the nutrition rules. 2 to 3 meals a day. Not 6, 7, 8 meals. If you're looking to really lose weight, you don't want to have a constant blood sugar. Because if you're eating like 6, 7 meals a day, your blood sugar is remaining high, so here comes that insulin again, you're starting to store it as fat. So 2 to 3 quality meals a day. You have healthy snacks if you want, some fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, things like that, as opposed to you get the box of Munchkin donuts from Dunkin' Donuts and you have a couple every hour. Just my suggestion. 20 grams of protein per meal. For breakfast, a lot of people have a very high carbohydrate breakfast. Whether they have like oatmeal, toast, coffee, with sugar, cereal, with milk. And sometimes we wonder why kids are off the walls at school. It's like, well, you just had a bowl of sugar for breakfast, or you get to the school and it's like, here's more sugar. So adding protein can offset the sugar that we have, but it's good to have good quality protein. So eggs, whey protein, grass-fed meats is good. And then limiting grains, or eliminating grains, and then refined carbohydrates. So the sugary drinks, the breads, pastas, white potatoes, white rice, stuff that quickly gets stored as fat in the body. No high fructose corn syrup. We'll talk about that a little bit. That's a big one for your body. Just converts that to fat faster and stores it faster. No monosodium glutamate or aspartame. They alter your hunger centers, actually causing you to eat more. Stay away from it. Go for 9+ servings of fruits and vegetables per day. About 75% of them make vegetables, 25% fruits, preferably raw or lightly steamed. The more you cook it, the more the nutrients, enzymes, everything is pretty much eroded. So this is a little bit different than the food pyramid, which is quite outdated.
It's way different.
Yeah, in